Survivor's ready. If anybody has a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so.
The queen stays queen.
You said rustle feathers.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to calamity. We have right bananas all the time.
Dude, my prize isn't even $1 million. My prize was that I fell in love in this game. Love at first sight. Her name is Candace.
You officially go down as the dumbest survivor ever.
Welcome to Not Game, No Personal. Hey, we are a Survivor podcast here to talk about all things Survivor, more specifically the events of this past week. Episode number 5 in Survivor 45. And Tony, I'm sad. My boy went home.
Your boy did go home. Did you have him picked?
Did you not know this?
I totally forgot. That's what you were talking about on the last. Oh, that's so
So,
funny.
Tony and I, at the beginning, no, it was episode 2. After episode 2, we
Episode 2,
drafted
yep.
3 players. And based on how far they went, we'd average it out. Who had the better prediction? I picked Sabaya, and I picked Brando. Oh, I am not feeling good.
Oh, we love to see it.
Oh, yeah.
We're
So
turning
you-
this franchise around, baby.
So you were not going into Tribal Council aware that it was me versus you, were you?
No, not
Because
even a
that's
little
all
bit.
I was thinking, because you have Drew, Kelly, and Emily. And
Wow.
my hope is sitting with Katura,
Yeah.
which I feel better
I'm-
about. I'm feeling better than I was,
Yeah.
but that's not the person I would pick now to put all my
Bossy Bruce.
chest. All right.
So I've been so bad at this historically that it just, after we pick, it's just out of my mind. You could change your picks and I probably wouldn't notice, honestly. And now that you told me that, I won't forget. But yeah, I completely forget. But I'm pretty good at this now. I think I might be the best in the podcast.
Well, I think it's fitting. It's this karma coming back to me, because I think we really only technically did this when we did Big Brother 21. Like legitimately all the way through the season. If I don't know. Like I can't remember the other
Oh,
seasons
yeah.
if we did do it. And so for the past 4 years, I've consistently brought up how bad you were that time.
That
And
was a pretty bad time.
I mean, maybe your bad time was picking Ovi and he went out second. My bad
Mhm.
time is picking 2 of the first 5 out. That's
Mhm.
pretty bad. Like we just got done recording Big Brother, and I already told you you won that draft. Like it's over. I can't win. Survivor, it's not technically over. I did crunch the numbers. Like if Katura wins and your people do go out in the next like 5 to 6, like I have a chance technically, but it is so slim, and I'm not thinking that the next 3 out are going to be Drew, Emily, and Kelly. That's for
Mhm.
sure. So I think I'm just going to say congratulations now. And honestly, like seeing Brando walk out, I'm like, now I can just enjoy this season and not have to stress about it, because Brando, it was so obvious he's going. He's not a final tribal guy. I'm sorry. I respect the dude, but like it wasn't going to happen.
There was almost a flip that was really good. He was
Yeah.
real close, I think.
Well, here's the
But-
best part. Your girl Emily is the one who got out Sabaya and Brando. She was the deciding vote for both of my people. So thanks.
Darn tootin' she was. That's my girl.
All right, let's
Don't talk
let's,
about
let's,
her like
let's start with the Bellow tribe, since that's the main event of this tribal council this week.
Absolutely.
They lost the challenge, as we know from last week. It was swapped original Bellow
Mhm.
between Brando and Kendra. 2 from Reba, the power duo of Drew and Austin. Emily sitting in the middle, and the main vibe, like we predicted last week, is Emily playing the middle, because both those duos are going to try to hold out. And she picked a side in the end. That's kind of what it came down to, with a lot of interesting strategy in between.
Yeah. It was very interesting because Brando very clearly did not want to work with what's her name?
Kendra?
Kendra. Yeah, I got there. Don't worry. Kendra. He very clearly just did not want to work with her, but felt like he needed to. I'm surprised he even voted with her and didn't vote for Kendra. Just vote for her because he was so like from very early on, he was like, "Hey, we should do a nerd alliance," and Drew's just like, "No, no, we're not doing that." That was so bold, and we'll get to that because I have a take on that.
We
That was
gotta talk about
outrageous.
that. Yes.
But just everything, Brando was fighting for his life. I think he knew that he was probably going to be the target, which I don't know if he was going to be because it was going to be between those two. And was it for sure going to be him, or if he just like kept his mouth shut? Do you think it was a chance that Kendra just would have gone?
I do think Drew shutting him down probably sent off some alarms.
Mm-hmm.
Just because nobody that outwardly denies an alliance immediately, you know? like
Yeah.
oh, you're not even lying to me. I don't know. That's my take on it.
Outrageous
Like
move.
after learning all this, he probably had a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Because my guess would be he suspected like, oh, maybe Drew doesn't want a nerd alliance because he wants to be the only nerd, you know, which I
Yeah.
guess is true. I don't know, but yeah. So I guess he could have tried more with like, it was just an interesting choice to start a lie and then double down on that lie with someone else. And not even forcing Emily to be like, who do I want to work with? Forcing Emily to be like, who do I believe?
Yeah.
That's a weird position I would not want to put myself in, is like, oh, I really got to sell this lie that is clearly a lie.
The thing is, with so many other people, that would have been perfect. But with Emily, she's gonna go ask. She's gonna confront it. She's not gonna dance around it or anything like that. And so as soon as he did it, it was just like, oh yeah, you're kind of screwed, man. Like I don't know what's gonna happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and honestly, he convinced her at first, and I thought it was gonna pay off that, or Drew was gonna get screwed because he didn't get like keep the shot in the dark that Brando offered, and he was gonna be like, he tried to give me his shot in the dark, and Brando was gonna be like, I didn't do that, and it was just gonna bury Drew. I was pretty confident that was gonna happen, and I was excited for it, but ultimately, if Kendra and Brando aren't close, I wouldn't want to align with them if I'm Emily. So just the idea that he would have considered that, they were never going to win that way. There was no way that was gonna accomplish what he was looking for.
Yeah, I just like what else do you do? Because it's one of those just unfortunate tribe swaps
Mm-hmm.
where you're stuck with someone who you are not close with, but they were on your original tribe, so you kind of have to work with them. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're stuck with this other duo that is clearly very visibly working together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how you win over Emily. And if you don't win over Emily, like, you know, do you try to make a move for Drew or Austin? Because that doesn't seem like that could work either. I just think you're screwed from the start.
And that happens. Sometimes you just get completely screwed by a swap. It blows my mind that they were so quick to just not even want to be with Brando.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there is a way that he could have made that offer and it made sense and it'd be effective, and that just didn't seem to be it.
Well, a
Yeah.
lot of conversation and strategy seem to also go back to original Bello, and we want
Mhm.
to weaken them. So if we take out,
Taking
I
out
don't know,
Kendra would
someone,
weaken them, is my thought.
it would. So I guess you're right in that way. But that would also, like, I think Emily mentioned it at like one point in passing. So it's like very interesting that like that's kind of how they're thinking too, as if like, because I think Drew said that. Drew's like, I don't trust that he'd work with me. I think once he gets back to original Bello, he's going to link up with them. And I do wonder if that's more of Drew projecting, because that's probably
Mhm.
what he's going to do, is try to link up back with Dee and Julie. So
As
he's
we saw, that's happening. Yeah.
so it's like, I don't know. That I think that's just kind of how they all thought of it to be. Yeah, Brando.
Brando.
Here's my,
Marlon Brando himself.
to try to justify my pick of him. Okay,
Okay.
I picked him after episode 2, which was the only episode we got from him. Like that's it.
Mhm.
Which is
Yep.
so bogus. You can't be throwing in these things if you're not like, we saw him link up with Kelly, right?
Yeah.
They kind of like, oh, we're playing the middle, we're dual. I liked that. Now I see
Mhm.
it was all because of Kelly. Like that's why they're showing it clearly, right? Like Kelly is
Yep.
becoming this like that's who I wanted. I
Kelly
just
rules.
And the other thing was Brando. They had this whole segment of him working with the 3 girls.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that back to back, and then for the next 3 episodes, you don't even show him. Like that is just not fair. So I think I
Well,
need
you
to
had him working with
redraft.
the 3 girls, and then clarifying that he wasn't working with the 3 girls. He was close with Kelly and not with the other 2,
Which set up then him not being close to Kendra once we hit once we hit this tribe swap.
Nope, it's bogus. Okay, it's lame.
You're right.
I
I
don't-
forgot. Sorry about that.
But it's the same thing I did earlier on. Now I didn't draft him because he went out, but like episode 1, I said Brandon could go very far because he could be that person that's
Mhm.
like blah 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 blah. And again, I was correct in them doing that, but I was wrong in the person where that Emily's that person. Like Emily is the
Mhm.
person that is kind of weak at first. She's gonna have this crazy arc and go super far. So it's like I'm so close to getting the person, but like when there's 2 people presented to me, I'm just picking the wrong person. That's all there is to it.
Hey, even the best fall down sometimes.
Anything else from Reba that we should? Well, what am I saying? That's only Brando. We gotta talk about the other people. I'm
Yeah,
silly.
we got lots to talk about on Reba. I feel like I don't have anything else really on Emily. She did what she should have done. Once she saw that there was even somewhat of a split between Brando and Kendra, you obviously go with Austin and Drew, and they're just going to be the stronger ones going forward. That is kind of risky though. Now that I say it out loud, like if your goal is to find a crack, why would you pick the duo that there is the like no cracks? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's
How
kind
am I
of.
thinking it.
I mentioned it last week. I do wonder if there is some clout there from what Caleb planted when he, met with
Oh, yeah,
Austin and
maybe.
Drew. So I think like if her mind is like, let me just get back with Caleb and now we can all do this together. That could be. But you're right. Like I think 2 clearly strong guys, a strong pair, I should say.
Mhm.
Like, do you go with the cracked alliance? So therefore,
Mhm.
you're not number 3 on their list. I don't know.
And she obviously convinced those 2 to vote together, so she was convincing to those 2. I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like that, and Austin and Drew are going to be bigger threats deep in the game. Not that that should be your deciding factor, but if it's close, it's
Mhm.
not the worst direction to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah,
Worth
I guess
considering.
we'll have to see. I personally think Emily's going to last everyone on this tribe, but that's just my take.
That's fair.
I think
Yeah.
this tribe, I think what this episode made me do is pull back on everyone.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, I think we were both, I and Drew, is like, oh man, he's getting a lot of, time on camera. He's saying the right things.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
episode, I think I'm almost out on him. I
I was
was
in the same boat. Yep.
not impressed at all. It feels horribly sloppy, and it's going to be one of those situations, like we said on Big Brother with Jag almost, where if he goes far, I'm going to be upset because he doesn't deserve it the way he's played.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to
like play the game. Just saying no to an alliance is an outrageous thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Outrageous thing to do. And then when somebody's handing you something like a shot in the dark, just take it. I don't know. There were things like that where it's just like he's almost too comfortable or too headstrong in what he thinks he needs to do that he's not open. He's not like playing the game fluidly. He's just too set in what he thinks is the best way to route. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like he's so confident. Like, oh, cool, I got my
Yeah.
final 2. I got my advantages. I'm good to go. Oh, you
Mhm.
want to work with me? Actually, I'm good. I'm already taken care of. I don't need you. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
lie to him. Just lie to him.
Just lie. It's
I-
easy.
In my mind, I think I compare this a lot with Emily in the sense of, I think episode 1 we talked about it where she was just very like too open, to a point, especially at tribal, and that kind of really turned on her. But I think to her benefit, she had that failing moment so early on and so public that she has completely turned it around and learned from that. And I think the issue with Drew right now is that he hasn't had anything fail to the point of needing to turn it around. So
He's still on
to
top of the world.
so he's just gonna keep doing this, and I don't think this is gonna work. Like the next person that approaches him and he does this, like that's like he's lucky that Brando couldn't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did get a little bit scared once he realized that Emily might not be believing what he's saying.
But yeah, I agree. He just hasn't. He hasn't been punched in the mouth. He hasn't been on the wrong side of a vote because that was the first one that he had. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. With Austin,
Mhm.
we had a very crazy stacking advantages for him.
Yeah.
Because again, all the advantages are with the two of them. Except
Mhm.
we have the amulet now, which we can get to. But Austin sacrificed a vote to use his idol until the merge.
To extend his idol, yeah.
Yes. And he could do it again next tribal and extend it even
Mhm.
farther. But then he used I can't even remember what it was called. The goodwill.
The goodwill advantage, yeah.
To get his vote back. So I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know. I'm sure like Survivor purists are up in arms because it's just so OP and it's like advantage on top of advantage. So if you're frustrated by it, that's fine. I understand, I guess, because it's kind of.
I don't.
You liked it?
I loved it. No,
It-
bad take.
No, I mean it's fine. I think it's like it's. I think some people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's so strategic," but to me, it's just like the obvious thing. Like, of course you're gonna do that, and like that's
Mhm.
almost what that's for. Because how often do you like the fact that there's an advantage to get your lost vote back? Tells you how many opportunities there are to lose your vote in this era of Survivor, which has never been
Mhm.
the case. Like losing your vote was never an option. So the fact that like you literally need something to get like, I don't know. So like this is probably the right thing to do it. I do. Did they say if you could have used that on your shot in the dark?
I assume you could have.
Because that would be like the only thing that'd be kind of cool. Because then like you at
Mhm.
least get a safety net, but you
Yeah.
don't actually lose anything.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I'm like, yeah, this is probably the right move. Like, extend that idol. It'll just be interesting to see if he does it again or not. I guess.
I feel like you have to, especially if you hit a merge and you feel comfortable. But we'll see. We'll see if they feel comfortable. He also got that 3-person idol
Yes.
at the journey, much to his protest.
I think it's just because he like had enough advantages. He's like, I'm good,
Dude, I have-
guys. I
I
don't.
have plenty, guys. I'm just hungry.
I don't
And he
want
was the
to
only one
work
that
with
didn't
you.
have food waiting for him back at camp. Everybody
That's-
else had.
that's
they
true,
were making
too.
fish,
That's a
and
very
so
good point.
obviously wanted the sandwiches.
Yes.
Which yeah, when you have that many in your pocket and you just see a good sandwich, I'd want the sandwich.
I did like how when he told Drew about it, Drew was like, "So we got to vote them out, right? Like that's what we got to do." So like,
Yeah, they didn't even consider that as an option, even though it clearly says that. That's obviously what he's gonna do. I think he probably covered it up decently well, but when he's like doesn't want to, he wanted the food. He didn't want to enter into an alliance with you. He never wanted that. When she said, "Yeah, hopefully I can get some information from Austin," he's like, "Hell no, I'm not doing that." Like, just look at his body language, and you see him
Yeah.
shaking his head and saying something. It's probably not going to be positive for you.
right. No, I completely agree. And so then to force him into this position,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh man, J Maya, I still don't know about her. I'm still so like 50-50 on the fence. Yeah. Is there anything else with Reba that we should go over? I think that kind of covers it. Kendra, I really got
Yeah.
nothing much on.
I think it's just about everything. Kendra, just big eyes,
Big eyes,
kind of annoying.
big old eyes. Yeah.
Seems nice enough. We're-
Let's talk about. Who should we talk about? Let's talk about.
Pick a pick.
We'll talk about Reba.
Reba.
Yeah, let's talk about Reba.
Okay.
One thing that I want to say before we go any further.
Yeah.
This is one of the first times in a long time that going into the immunity challenge, I wasn't sure what tribe was going to go. And that's because we had enough time of each tribe having conversations, and like each tribe presented like hey, here would be the targets if we went to tribal, instead of just showing
Yeah.
us one and then going straight to the challenge. So I loved that. I loved watching it, and not actually knowing who was going to win.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everyone had options.
Mhm.
This option was fascinating. There's
Yeah.
quite a few things going on. The first thing we saw was the aftermath of Tribal Council, which is kind of exactly what we talked about last week, where the girls are just
Yeah.
kind of pissed because Sean just threw him under the bus, even after
dumb.
they wanted to keep him. And so, yeah, I mean, again, Sean, what a loser. Get out of here.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I'll double
Sifu's
down on that.
up in arms. I'm just over it. Like, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Get out of here.
Mhm.
Sifu's trying to figure out who voted for him, and he apparently can't figure it out. So I thought, I've never seen someone like not be able to figure it out like that, but it seemed like he legitimately doesn't know which of the three it was.
Well, he was doing it at night. I feel like from what they showed us, D refused to make eye contact. That's a
Yeah.
classic. I would be like, oh, it's D, like easy money. Actually, I'm not gonna say that with any confidence because I probably wouldn't be able to figure it out. The fact of like, you know that someone else voted D. He didn't seem to add that into the equation when they were all like, we all voted for Sean, and
Right.
then he didn't think I didn't vote D. No, like he's just like, oh, I guess, yeah, I don't know what they did. And so obviously one of them's lying. Obviously, I don't know. I feel like if he had any social awareness, he could piece it together that it's probably Julie or D. But he couldn't. So
Yeah. And then he decides to make a fake idol, try to
Mhm.
secure his way. I was trying to think, and I don't know if I can think of what the best use of a fake idol was, because they, at least in recent seasons, they don't seem to do much.
No. Well, they don't do much when you give them to them, which they haven't done this season so far, which I love.
Well, that's true. I forgot about that whole
Yeah.
advantage twist.
Yeah. And so once that's there, you just know that there's fake idols and what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
I think the value of them is, first of all, if there's somebody who feels like they're being threatened, if you can manipulate them into finding it, gives them a false sense of security, and you can embarrass them like they do with Randy. But I think there's also the aspect of if you can gamble your, like, bluff your way out of it. I feel like those are the only two main uses for it.
Yeah.
Or to gain trust, be like, hey, I found this idol, I guess, maybe.
Well, here's what I was trying to wrap my head around too, because him having an idol was a big concern to them even before he had the fake one. Like that was kind of a whole thing.
Mhm.
Like, oh, we think he might have an idol, but Dee and Julie know that Austin found the Beware advantage on their original tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not quite connecting the dots. Do they just think that there were multiple advantages there? Like they could think that, but like the fact that they know who found it on their tribe and still think Sifu might have it, I'm like, doesn't that lower his odds of having an advantage?
Yeah, that's a really, really fair point. I think you have to keep your mind open to there may have been multiple idols, but that has to be like very back of your mind, like just in case I'm gonna think
Mhm.
about this. And if he has an idol, there's 4 of you. Split the freaking vote. Like just split the vote with somebody. Like whoever he votes for, and the other 3, 2 people vote for him, and then 1 person votes for one of the other people. And then just have D vote for J. And then
Yeah.
you're good. You don't have to worry about it. And just don't mention it. Be like, no, we're confident he doesn't have an idol. And then
Yeah.
you're good. They were overstressing for sure about that.
Right. Yeah. It was chaotic. But the plan that they had before, were you gonna say something else?
I was just gonna say I did like, and I think I was going the same direction you were. Jay Maya's,
Yeah.
her plan was solid. It was.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is they don't want to work with her.
Yes,
And
exactly.
there's not much you can do about that. But like, it's a solid plan. And
Right.
it's her taking negative credit for something that the other 2 did, which should gain you loyalty. But not from D and Julie. They're just about to kick her out.
No, and that was fascinating. So her plan was to say, yes, I voted for you, blah, 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 blah. just so you can get him comfortable that everyone's going to go for her, and then you actually vote
Mhm.
for him. Not a bad
Mhm.
plan, but again, you have to have way more trust in these other two girls, which clearly she doesn't have because it seemed like they were considering it. Uh, I don't hate what they were doing either, though. Like, maybe that is a good time to like take someone out like that, because if you're making Sifu feel comfortable, then Jay is feeling that much more comfortable. You know?
Ooh.
And
yeah.
I think I'm always thinking of like how can you as a player one up the person who could get credit for this move? And
Yeah.
that was my thought, because I honestly, like, I don't know. I don't really view Sifu as like a huge threat like they do.
Mm-mm.
So if someone is coming up with a smart plan, it's almost like the Michaela situation from Millennials vs. Gen X. Like,
Yeah.
she had a very good plan. So good to the point that she becomes a threat because it's such a good plan. You know? Like, that's kind of like, that's why she went out in the way she did. And so I kind of view it a little similar.
Same with Jesse and Cody.
Yeah.
Cody had this great plan, and Jesse's like, "No, can't have that." Just took him out.
I can't have you have a successful plan here.
Which sucks for them, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's-
It'll be interesting.
Super good.
Well,
'Cause then
I guess we
he
won't see
complete-
because there's going to be a merge, right?
Yeah.
We both just kept trying to go.
I'm not stopping.
D completely gets away with voting for Sifu then, because Jay admitted to it and then got voted out. So unless Jay, which you know what, Jay should, if she got voted out, this is all in a hypothetical dream world where this didn't happen. But
Mhm.
Jay is just like, "Hey, Sifu, FYI, I wasn't actually the one that voted for you last tribal. I was trying to help out these two, and now they're screwed."
It's one of those two. Boom. Game.
Yeah, no, that would be the smart thing to do. And maybe then you do keep Jay just for that live, you know? Because, like, Sifu doesn't have any information that he could give on his way out. And either way, like, if you get rid of Jay or if you get rid of Sifu, you automatically get away with your vote for Sifu, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I
True.
don't know if it matters too much, but I don't know.
Those two
Do
are
you,
still somehow in the power position.
yeah, I mean, I didn't see it episode 1 or 2, but now I'm like, oh man, Dee and Julie are going to be a power force. I personally, I think I have them higher than even like Drew and Austin at this point, as far as like how likely I think they are to make it far.
And those two, that group of four went from never having gone to tribal to splitting up into two duos, probably the two strongest duos from there, and both solidifying their alliance together and now coming back together. And so I assume the four will ride together, but I wonder if there'll be friction in that there's two duos, very clear duos there.
Yeah, and it's going to be, well, okay, do we know, is next week the merge or is it like the half merge? I
Ooh,
don't
it might be
think,
half merged.
That's a good point.
how many people are left? I'm going to count out loud in this podcast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
13.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it would be the half merge. So they'll probably do the 6 and 6. One person goes away, and then they'll come back and reverse the thing. That's what's
I
going to
bet
happen.
Emily goes away. That just feels so on brand.
To her to be in the center position. I think
Yep.
her or Caleb. That's my prediction. Both just feel like poetically correct.
Both.
Uh,
Man, imagine if they make it to final two just because nobody's worried about them because their entire tribe was gone.
Sure.
I love
I
it.
mean, that's how that kind of works. Like, let's look at
Mhm.
Malcolm and Denise. You know, that's just what happens.
Yep. You're no
Yeah.
longer a
So
threat. You have no allies,
I think it's gonna be interesting next week because Reba has all 6 original people there, and I know like Jay and Sifu aren't really with that 4, but like you would assume the 4 would at least pretend like, hey, we're all in this.
I
And
think they're too dumb to do that. I don't think they'll do that, honestly.
who do you think won't do that? The 4?
I don't think the four. I think the four are going to try to pull in other people.
It could be. I mean, because they got Emily. They could maybe pull in Caleb. I think it's going to depend on how close Caleb's getting to his new Lulu tribe, though, which we should
True,
probably
yeah.
talk about them now.
Yep.
Lulu. I think
Lulu.
Caleb is definitely my favorite to win right now. I think
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. Yeah.
I think
That's-
people recognizing him as a threat on like the second tribal is my only hesitation.
Yes. My response to that is those people are gone, and it's just Emily. So
But do you think he's changed his like charisma and like physical ability?
Um, I think here's like the interesting thing, is I think a lot of times, like especially on these tribe swaps, like if they were to go to tribal, the new Lulu, for original Bello and him, I don't think he would have been the person, because I think in those situations you're more looking for like, hey, we have an opportunity to cut some of this fat, you know, like this
Mhm.
person now is like, and I think that's like we're gearing up towards that. And I think when it comes to the merge, I just think he has what it takes to at least blend in, because now it's not like we're in this small group of 5.
Mhm.
We are all these people.
True.
And the reason that he was a threat and stayed at that 5 was because of his relationship building.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's had even more time to do that. And I
Hmm.
could just be justifying it. We'll see. But I don't,
No,
I just
that's
like,
worth considering.
I love watching the way he plays the game. I really do.
Yeah, he's a very very strong player. Like I could see him being having just a phenomenal game. That's the only thing that I'm really worried about with him is threat level, and that's a good position to be in when somebody's just worried about like how are you going to manage this very very clear threat level that you have.
I absolutely loved him seeking out Kelly. It just
Mhm.
felt like this, because I really like Kelly too. Kelly
Yeah.
is just seems like she's gonna be really
She's one of my
solid
favorites
later on.
Yeah.
But like the fact that like he recognized like this is the one person I don't have like a personal connection to on this tribe. I need to
Mhm.
seek her out. I don't know. It felt kind of funny, as if like it was a challenge to him. It's like
Yeah.
I need to really test my social game. This is the
Yeah.
one thing I don't have right now. But then choosing like to give the most information to her was also fascinating. So I don't know if that gives us a better idea of where he lies, because it seems like every person he has a conversation with, you know, like there's times I'm like, oh my gosh, I think he wants to do a final 2 with Katura, you know, like, oh, he's bros with
Mhm.
Bruce, you know, like I think he
Mhm.
just plays it so well. It's going to be real interesting to see like when he has to pick a side.
Yeah, this episode is interesting because we saw last episode or the episode before, we saw Bruce, Jake, and Kelly. Those 3 were walking, and they're like, Katura is like, it was more Bruce leading the conversation, but I think the other 2 were like, yeah, Katura's needs to take it easy a little bit. And then you see Caleb immediately makes a connection with Katura more than he does with the other 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then this episode reinforces that with him being annoyed with Bruce being a bossy person, which could then be just them playing that up. But it seems like Caleb is siding with Katura
Mm-hmm.
when the other 3 are all solid. And so I was kind of hoping that we would see what would happen with that before the merge, because what if he sides with the person who's already on an island, and so he himself finds himself on an island? Like he and Katura vote for Bruce, and the other 3 vote for Katura. Like that would have been a very
Yeah.
interesting turn of events.
I think my big question mark is just the Kelly factor of it, you know, because it's
Mhm.
really hard to tell, because like you're saying, it's not like she was participating in the like Katura's bad for the tribe. You know, like is she just blending in with this, what she seems to be the majority, you know? So like I do wonder like how much she is in with Bruce. Cause like here's the thing. I know like the Bruce Katura thing is like being hyped up, but like I refuse to believe that she's the only one who isn't annoyed by Bruce. I
Mhm.
think that's just like she's giving
Yeah.
the producers the most to work with. But like there's
Yeah.
no way Kelly's just on board with Bruce, you know? So like I really
I feel-
could see, I don't know, Caleb and Kelly and Katura more than I could see like Kelly. I don't know, like Kelly, Bruce, and Jake doesn't make sense to me as like a voting
Mhm.
block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's interesting because I feel like we saw something with Kelly where she was like, Katura is being very obvious that she doesn't like Bruce and she needs to get that under control. Maybe I made up that confessional in my head, and maybe that's more extreme than how it was presented, but I feel like I vaguely remember that.
I think I
Um,
remember it too, but I also think like that could be taken like she needs to get it under control, as in, like, I don't know. I feel the same way, but she needs to
Yeah. Oh,
cool
yeah,
it before we
absolutely.
get it. I don't know. It's
Mhm.
weird.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think it was interesting that Katura gets blamed for looking for this idol that's not there. I didn't even process that there wasn't an idol to be or a beware advantage to be looking for at that point.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, her getting caught doing that when nobody else is around, that's a tough look. Like it's just, I think that tribe was probably, what I say was the most interesting out of the three. I feel like that was the one that I would have
I
wanted to go to tribal the most.
I agree with that because I
Yeah.
think I I personally just want to see Bruce at tribal. This is his second
Mm-hmm.
season and he hasn't been to tribal yet. Like let's see what he's got in him when he's talking to Jeff one on one.
Yeah.
But it feels like the most dysfunctional one. It feels like the most tension, and it also
Mm-hmm.
feels like the one where I want to see where people's cards actually lie. More specifically, I think just Caleb and Kelly, because I think we know where Katura is, we know where Bruce is, I think we know where Jake is. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I need to see, like, tell me, who are you actually working with? I want to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to see people actually make a decision. Shocker.
Yeah.
Come out of the woodwork a little bit.
Jake fell down again, which
Yeah. And it was kind of brushed off. It was explained a little bit more this time because Kelly was there as him just getting up quickly and blood rushing to. I don't think he was getting up the first time. I can't remember specifically. Um,
I feel like I'm very confused about this. Like, I understand. Okay, so he lost a lot of weight somewhat recently, like
Mhm.
big life transformation. So is he saying that's why he's having whatever's happening? Like, just falling over? Like, was that the
no,
justification?
no, it was more like, man, I'm scared I'm gonna lose this opportunity after all the hard work I put in. I think
Okay.
that's the vibe it was going for more so. I wish he
So,
had been like, yeah, medical checked me out. They say I'm still okay. But they just keep like brushing under the rug what or why it's happening.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, none of it felt like it explained anything. So I'm like, so this
Mm.
guy is just essentially almost passing out, and we're just
Repeatedly.
nobody is talking about it.
Kelly is kind of being a nurse out in the jungle. And they're not saying like, yeah, medical checked him. Like, uh, yeah, it feels almost um just like inappropriate. That's not the word I want, but like not good that they're just letting him do this and not
No,
addressing it.
no, I don't know. Like, it looks bad on your part because I think there are
Hmm.
people that watch this, and I think, like, I'd watch
Negligent.
it.
That's the word I was looking for. It feels negligent.
Yes, yes. Because, like, I think I watch it and I have an understanding of how it works where, like, clearly medical did check him. They wouldn't let
Hmm.
that slide. But I don't
Absolutely.
think everyone watching would think that. Like, I think there are people watching this that think that, oh, medical didn't even look at him? So it's like, you're making yourself look bad by not clarifying. You're
Hmm.
also, like, you're clearly using this as, like, a next time on Survivor. This person
Yeah.
passed. So it's like, this feels weird. My
Hmm.
only thought is that I wonder if this does lead up to him eventually being medically evacuated. Like,
It must.
I think it has to, because why would you keep showing this without
Hmm.
anything? Like, there's nothing that comes from this. Like,
Hmm.
absolutely nothing. It sort of segued into his story, but even
Yeah.
that, like, wasn't fully connected other than this is why I want to play Survivor.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they've been doing that a little bit just across the board this season. They haven't been fully explaining things. I was listening to a podcast that talks about Big Brother, and the guy is watching Survivor for the first time in a while. And like, he's confused about like beware advantages. He's like, what the heck is that? Like, shot in the dark. He's like, they've never explained what that is. So I have no idea what that is. They keep talking about it, but I don't know like how that works. And so I feel like they're just doing that with this new era. They're not in different ways. I guess this probably is just a completely different thing, but just not fully explaining or not give, even though it's supposed to be a peek behind
the curtain a little bit. That's how Jeff built it. Like this new era, you're gonna see behind the curtain a little bit. You're gonna see me giving a little talk as they walk up to tribal. Those are my favorite. But yeah, we're not getting like medical coming in and being like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, let's check you. Let's make sure you're good."
Right.
Like that's a great opportunity to do it, and they're just not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fascinating thought. I didn't even think about that, but like they don't really walk you through how the structure works. Where I feel like Big Brother is the opposite, where they over-explain every single thing.
Mhm.
Like I
Yeah.
need to win this power of veto because if I win it, I pull myself off the block, and then the HOH has to, like they read the rules every DR they
Mhm.
get, and Survivor, yeah, they just like throw out terms and expect you to just like know it all. um,
And when the game was more simple, that's fine. Like you can piece together, you go to tribal council and you vote someone out, and individual immunity means that you can't get voted out. And then you add in idols, and you're like, okay, that's pretty self-explanatory too. You can just play that, whatever. But as the game gets more complex and there's more things built into it, you need to have a way to explain what's happening.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
And we shouldn't be left in the dark about why somebody keeps passing out and why he is able to play. Like that just seems like a crazy thing to keep the audience in the dark about.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's
I
a
mean,
HIPAA thing though, now that I think about it. Do you think? Like they can't
I
technically
mean-
share his health information? Like what?
well, yeah, I could see that, but I don't think that would stop them from being able to say he's cleared to play.
Yeah, they said Bruce was constipated back in the day. Different Bruce.
Yeah, like I think
Like they've mentioned why in the past.
you can
Yeah.
have a medical person come look at them, like we just check your vitals, everything's good, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like they're letting him play, so clearly they checked him. So
Mhm.
I think if nothing else, just to let the audience know that hey, we checked him, like that would be fine.
Mhm. But it seems negligent, like you said, and irresponsible for somebody who's not as familiar with the show.
Yes. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what it comes down to. I don't know. It's weird, but like I said, I think he's gonna be gone soon based
Mhm.
on this. I think that's all it has to be. Like the fact that it's happened twice.
Do you think he's coming back on 46, just like Bruce?
I really hope the producers are learning their lesson here. I don't even
Mhm.
hate Bruce that much, but I'm just like, this is not who I don't. It's.
It was not at all who we thought he would be. It is like goofy. I don't know. He's an interesting character.
I
I don't know if he's an
wonder.
interesting enough character to like need to bring him back.
I do think. Okay. Well, is there anything else in this tribe or anything on this episode at all before I go off this rabbit trail of what I want to do?
That tribe is fascinating. Nope, I think that's all I had. Nobody
Okay.
rubs people with their thumb when they hug them. Sorry, that's a reference to the Big
True.
Brother podcast we just did. Sorry.
Okay, so here's my question.
Okay.
I'm looking now, trying to determine how Bruce would have fit in with last year's tribe if he didn't get medically evacuated.
Oh, boy.
This was the tribe. The first person that went was Helen, if you remember Helen. Then there was Sarah. But the real people that we would have to compare it to would be Carson, Carolyn, and Jam Jam.
Oh,
Bruce
he was on that
would-
tribe?
That was the tribe Bruce was originally on.
Lord.
I think we got robbed. I would have much rather see Bruce on that tribe than in this season.
That would have been so fascinating.
What would Carson?
Jam Jam
Carson
would have hated him.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's hard to tell. Like Carolyn and him might vibe. I don't know. I think Carson would
Mhm.
just be Lars. He's like, what do I do here? Like he struggled enough trying to reel Carolyn and Jam. Like Carolyn and Jam spent the whole season going after each other while still working together, and Carson's just like, guys, stop it! Like
Yeah.
throw Bruce in there. He would have quit.
Do we think this is the same Bruce that we would have gotten last season, or do you think he thought he learned something from the process?
That's a very good point, and I think that's probably it. He probably got a little bit of an ego coming into this season, being like, he'd be like, guys, I played Survivor before, but I technically didn't. Hey, I'm one of you, but listen, because I'm an expert.
Yeah.
It can't be
A lot of times
both.
he's like,
We should do it this way. Like, you can't be the leader of the tribe if you're trying to not be that guy. You just can't.
Oh man, this episode was especially bad, man. I couldn't believe it. Like, hey guys, okay, I'm gonna be Bruce here. That's crazy. That's a bad decision. It's like you can't do that. It's Survivor.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Oh, you're gonna get up and do it. It's like, who are what? Why would you like call somebody out like that, or whatever he said to
He
Caleb.
he was
Caleb
ordering
around.
Caleb around, then he told Jake to stand up, and that's when Jake passed out. So I don't know.
Mhm. That's
Bad
true.
call. All right, I think that's it. That's it for Survivor.
I forgot most of last season's cast existed.
I'm looking at the list now, and it's
Josh, I forgot Josh was ever a thing.
I forgot about Kane. Kane was my winner pick. Yikes.
Kane rules. I never forget Kane.
I
If
am
you would
a
have told me there was a
loser
former
here.
NFL player, I would be like, there was? Like, I wouldn't be able to remember Brandon at all. Right? He was in the NFL?
Yeah, he was. I feel like they have so many NFL players though.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a handful. All right. Well, for more episodes, visit notgameallpersonal.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, really. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, at NGAPpod. That is at NGAPpod. Nathan, this is Tony. We'll see you next week.
45 seasons, 2 friends, 1 podcast.